Now that we have discussed the various elements of chess, I wanted to better illustrate these concepts with a game example. This game was taken from a Copenhagen tournament in 1923 between Samish and Nimzovich. This game example is really great because it makes all the concepts easy to understand. Let's go through this game element by element to determine who is winning. Why not take a look at the element of time or development first? Well, if we look at this position, we can see that both players have a pair of rooks developed and also a pair of bishops, and each player has a queen as well. The timing element is indeed equal. This is simply because the knight on b1 is not developed and cannot safely move to a square. If the knight were to try to move to c3 or to a3, it would be easily captured and lost. So therefore the knight can't move, and because it is not developed, it's not considered part of the timing element. The next element is space, which is how many squares your pieces control. When we calculate spatial control, we only count each square once, even if multiple pieces are controlling it. This makes sure our number is correct. For example, the bishop over here and the queen both control the same square, but we're only going to count that square one time in order to keep our numbers correct. Well, what are you waiting for? Let's start calculating. Let's take a look at how many squares white controls first. Alright, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, and 23. So it turns out that white is controlling a total of 23 squares. It's important to keep that in mind. Let's check out how many squares black is controlling. Well, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32. See here, is that all the squares? 32 squares, there's some more, there's 33 squares. Looks like that black is controlling about 33 squares, which is quite a few, and white was only controlling about 23. Therefore, black has a significant spatial advantage. Alrighty, the next element that we're going to look at is called material. It is actually the easiest element to calculate, and the best method to calculate it is to simply pair off the chess pieces and see what we have left. Alright, so we're going to pair off the rooks. Both players also have a pair of bishops and a queen. Now we're going to pair off these two pawns and these 3 pawns with black's other 3 pawns. Well, it turns out that we are now left with a material imbalance. Black has these 2 extra pawns, and white has this extra piece. A knight is worth 3 pawns, so therefore white has a material advantage of 1 pawn. We are now down to the final element, positional. At this point, both sides have an element in their favor. White has a material advantage, and black has a spatial advantage. So who will come out on top? There is something very important that we recently learned about the positional element. Can you remember what it is? The player who has the spatial advantage will also have the positional one, as it allows for greater piece coordination. Therefore, I am predicting that black is winning in this position since he has the spatial advantage. But don't just take my word for it. Let's find out for ourselves. Let's take a look at black's position first. His rooks and bishops are working beautifully together to attack over here on the king's side. I would also like to point out that black's dark squared bishop is performing a dual function by supporting the king's side attack and the b4 pawn. The b4 pawn is very important because it's restricting white's knight and preventing it from being able to develop. In addition to that, even these center pawns are supporting black's rook and this bishop on d3. So all the black's pieces are coordinated together, working towards a common goal. So what about white's position? Well, if we take a look at his pieces, we can see that this knight on b1 is immobilized. It can't come to the defense or the attack, and none of white's pieces are helping this knight to break free. Also, anywhere the queen moves, it is captured and lost. If the queen were to move here, pawn captures, queen moves here, rook captures, queen moves here, pawn captures. If the queen moves backwards, the rook will take it. So literally anywhere that the queen moves, it will be captured and lost. So the queen is completely immobilized. In addition, this queen is also preventing the dark squared bishop from having a wider line of scope. It is blocking the bishop's path. If we take a look at the rook on g1, it is performing a function of defending the bishop on g2. But the bishop is very well defended by white's king, so the rook really doesn't need to be defending the bishop. It could be performing a much better and important function. Well, how about the rook on e1? Well, it's not defending or attacking either. All of white's pieces are uncoordinated without a purpose, common goal, or any direction. Therefore, it is black who is winning, since he has both a spatial and positional advantage, while white has only a material advantage that he cannot even use because the knight is currently unable to participate in the game.